For this example, I'm going to solve for x by completing the square. X squared minus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Now, to solve by completing the square, you always want to make sure that your constant is on the opposite side of your variables. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 3 from both sides, so that our x squared minus 5x is by itself on one side, and on the other side we have negative 3. Now, the reason I left this side, this area blank, is because the goal here is to make a perfect square trinomial so that we can use the square root method. Now, in order to make a perfect square trinomial, we have to add something to this space. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the middle term, negative 5, which is our b, and divide it by 2 and square it. Now, to do that, you can just think of that as negative 5 over 2 times negative 5 over 2, and that will give you positive 25 over 4. Now you have to add that to both sides to keep the balance. And now we can factor this. And that's going to be x, and these are going to be negative signs. And an easy way to think about this is multiples of 25 over 4, that adds give you 5. You can always use this number in here after you divide it by the 2. You can't use just negative 5, but as soon as you divide by 2, it should be 5 over 2. And you can check that. 5 over 2 times 5 over 2 does give you 25 over 4. And 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2 does give you 5. And now, because we know that it's going to be a perfect square, we can just put the 2 up here instead of writing both binomials. Equals, and now we have to add these together. So I'm just going to put this negative 3 over 1. And then we can give them a common denominator of 4. So multiply by 4. And this would be negative 12 over 4 plus 25 over 4. And 25 minus 12 is 13. So we have 13 over 4. And now that we have a perfect square on this side, we can take the square root of both sides, and those will cancel. And we'll have x minus 5 over 2 equals, and because we took the square root, we can't forget the plus or minus. And now the square root of 13 can't be simplified, so I'm just going to keep that as the square root of 13. But we know that the square root of 4 is 2, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. Now, we can add the 5 over 2 to both sides so that we can isolate x. So this would be 5 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 13 over 2. But because they have the same denominator, you can combine them. So this would be x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 13 all over 2. And that would be our final answer.